Courage Mom. I'm Jessica. You're watching a video in the Halloween series, and this one is all about the origins of Halloween. Before we get started, I would like to discuss a few things that I think are really important to take note of. One is that I am not an expert. I'm not a historian. I'm not an expert in ancient human history. I am not an expert in Celtic, Gaelic history. I simply am doing the best I can with something that I'm interested in, that I want to share with others, something that gives me joy. And also, with that said, even with the experts and historians out there, there's a lot up for debate about Halloween, about Samhain. So not only is there controversy between different religions, there's also controversy among anthropologists, archaeologists, about how did people actually celebrate this time of year? What was actually being done? And because we don't know for certain, and don't have enough evidence to discern between mythology, gossip that's handed down, how things were recorded and by whom it was recorded by, we can take our best guess at what was being done so many eons ago about celebrating this time of year. And so when we talk about Halloween, there's people who get very passionate about it, not being the same thing as Samhain. People who don't like to compare it to a spiritual type of holiday because it's so marketed and it's fake. I think that the takeaway, the best thing that any of us can do is, if you enjoy Halloween and you're looking for more information, that's why these videos are here. I'm creating them because I enjoy Halloween. I'm interested in the history of it. I have a very deep spiritual path that I follow and beliefs that I have, and I take what resonates for me and make that work in a practical way for my life, for my family, for my belief system. And I think that one of the things that could really kind of steal your joy from this holiday is if you want to try to reconstruct ancient traditions, especially in modern times. I think that it's not really feasible. We just don't have all the information to know all the facts about ancient tribes and how they celebrated this time of year. So I think keep your joy. Follow from here. Listen to your heart. Do what resonates here. And if you're doing that, then you're likely going to be following your joy. You're likely going to do things that give you meaning and purpose in your life, and that develop and deepen the relationships in your life. And really, that's key. When we talk about traditions, when we talk about holidays, it's about creating memories. It's about doing things that we do every year at certain times and then passing those things down in our family, creating those traditions, creating those relationships, connecting to our roots, connecting to something that we belong to. And so, yes, take the stories, take the myths, take any history that you can find, and piece together something that works for you in a practical way in modern times, and do it from here. So that there's meaning and joy and purpose in that, and that you're developing good relationships with the people that you care about. If you start to get so concerned with what's fact and what's not, and this story is different than this story, or there's a little bit of a different variation here from here, or I heard this and she said that, it takes the joy out of it. It takes the meaning out of it. It takes the tradition and just kind of steps all over it. So have fun. Have fun with this video and the rest of the videos in this series. Maybe you'll find some things that are inspiring to you that you can take and bring into your own Halloween traditions. I don't think it has to be a black and white thing when it comes to Halloween. I don't think that we have to sit here and debate over what's right or wrong and what's factual or not. I think it's one of these, especially one of these holidays, where we get to make it our own, what's special and meaningful for us. So do that. If you have fun just eating candy and dressing up, do that. If you want to have a deeper meaning to it and follow a spiritual practice with it, do that too. So with all that said, I know I'm kind of going on, but I want to get into the video. Okay, so Samhain is a sacred day that sits between the autumn equinox and Yule. And Yule is another one of those that has some debate over it. You know, whether it was a Celtic type tradition, if it was more of a German tradition. However, there are also Celtic tribes that are associated with Germany. So again, Samhain's a sacred day. It sits between the autumn equinox and Yule. Over 2,000 years ago, Celtic people that lived in France, Ireland, the British Isles, they celebrated this time of year as a time of death and birth of a new year. So October 31st became known as Samhain, meaning summer's end. That's what Samhain translates to. And the Celts divided the year into two halves. There was a light half and the dark half. And these two parts of the year were also broken down into 4 different sabbats, these fire festivals, and Samhain is one of the fire festivals, and is a time to honor the light and the dark halves of the year. And Samhain is the traditional name of the fall Sabbath where the year turns dark. So Halloween, as most people call it and know it, is also associated with Samhain, but there's different names. So we can use names like Halloween and Samhain, but there's also Festival of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Shadowfest, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, that all kind of get lumped in with this holiday. And each of these terms has its own meanings and own faiths behind them. So for this video, I'm just going to be referring to it as Samhain and talking about more of the Celtic background to Samhain. So Samhain occurs on October 31st in the northern hemisphere and May 1st in the southern hemisphere. We know this holiday is Halloween now, but Samhain and Halloween are different. Halloween is the secular version of this holiday, and it's been filled with a lot of controversy for centuries. It's not something that's recent controversy now. With that said, here's another little piece of controversy, is that there are people who adamantly claim that Halloween was invented in the 1920s. And I can see that. We're not going to discuss that in this video. I can see why they say that. But just know that Samhain, in general, has had controversy for many, many years, okay, many generations. Samhain is rooted in ancient Celtic lore and spiritual beliefs. We could honestly go back way further in time and see that these concepts that make up Samhain are about as old as humanity. But in this series, we're discussing the Celtic festival of Samhain and our current American folk holiday, Halloween. So with all of that said, the ancient Celts are my kind of people. When I read about the ancient Celts when it comes to Samhain, I'm like, yeah, I would love to sit around a bonfire with them. So they gave not just all of this really beautiful spiritual meaning to Samhain, but it was a party, you know, like there's feasting and drinking. Okay, with that said too, you know, there's also people who say, well, you know, that it's lore that there was a lot of drinking, but that's neither here nor there. The ancient Celts sat around a bonfire, and then they would go home with their families and light their hearth, and they would sit around their fire at home. And there was eating and drinking and disguising themselves as spirits. And in my opinion, it sounds like an awesome time. And it sounds a little bit like what we do now at Halloween in modern culture. But not many understand the roots of this holiday. You know, we enjoy having our fortune told, a good costume, candy, alcohol, hang with our friends and family while the kids go door to door. We take in all the scary movies. We get caught up in the lore and the mystery. And for one night, all things weird is totally acceptable. On the last day of October, magic and mystery drape around each of us like an old hag's shawl. We breathe in the crisp air and the sweet, musty smell of autumn leaves, and we're reminded of the turning of the season and the great cycle of life. This is a time of inception and a new journey. It's a time when we can take time to just sit back and think about, you know, what are our intentions going forward. Shadows blend into darkness that stretches on longer than the days. We walk in between worlds this night. We walk with ghosts, with fairies, and spirits. is a sacred day that comes but once a year, and it's observed by those of us that instinctively feel the presence of worlds meshing together, and even for people just looking to have a bit of fun and make some memories. Samhain is associated with the Irish and Gaels, but the traditions of Samhain go back further than when the Gaels migrated to Ireland. There's some evidence showing that pre-Irish Celts, dating as far back as 500 BC, were celebrating this time of year. But it likely dates back prehistory, like way far back in the epochs. If you aren't sure who the Gaels were, these were people of Scottish, German, Welsh, and Norse descent, but they were Celtic tribes. Many historians debate the origins of Gaels, but they touched many parts of the world. So these Celtic tribes were kind of spread out. Most are known for areas of France, Ireland, Scotland, and even northern Portugal. It's a whole study of its own when you start getting into learning about Celtic tribes and the Gaels. The takeaway is that Samhain is founded in ancient Celtic beliefs. This means that Halloween is rooted in pagan beliefs. The word pagan is very triggering and very misunderstood by so many people, though. Pagan is treated like a bad word. It's not a bad word. It's not evil. It's not sinister. It doesn't mean anything bad. Pagan, actually, when we look at the history of the word, it means from the field, a country person, a person of the country. Another word that used to be used to describe pagans were heathens. That's how we got it. Heathen also meant somebody of the country working out in the field. It has a very agricultural background to that word. It was when Christianity took hold of that word and it was demonized and used to belittle and strike fear into people. Really, the word just had to do with farming, with land. It became diluted by agenda to control people through religion and fear. And I know that can sound a little bit offensive and argumentative, but truly, when we're talking about the early church, there was a lot of conversion going on, and we're going to save that for a whole other video. Pagan has come to be understood as a person now that worships multiple gods and goddesses, but that, again, is not the original meaning of the word. I've seen the interest in ancient traditions and reconnecting to ancestors and Mother Nature grow for the last 25 years. More and more people are looking for something outside of religion and looking for a spiritual path that's more rooted in nature and in the cosmic realms. They aren't looking to worship demons or Satan or do evil things to other people. They're not casting curses. People like myself are seeking to live in harmony. They want to live in harmony with themselves. They want to live in harmony with other people. They want to live in harmony with nature. They want to live in harmony with the spirit world. They're looking to heal. They're looking to bring in more light and higher vibrations and just more love into the world, more connection. However, Samhain or Halloween is pagan, and then it's lumped into one category by the majority of certain faiths, majority being Christian, that it's satanic. It's anything but. Halloween or Samhain isn't meant to be a night of evil, and its foundation has nothing to do with the devil of the Christian faith, nor does it have to do with Christianity. There's always going to be people that look to invert beliefs, faith, and spiritual practice. So just like the religion of Satanism, they invert Christianity, but they've also taken things and inverted the Wiccan religion as well. So, and by the way, you can be pagan and not be Wiccan. You can be pagan and not be a Satanist. So, anyways, I'm going to get off track here. Okay. The ancient Celts and pagans weren't Christian, and they were around before Christians, and they're not founded in Christian beliefs. So I just want to get that cleared up. There's always going to be those, though, that thrive off of fear and chaos and inflicting harm but they have nothing to do with the real connection to Samhain. The most known about traditions understanding of Samhain began as a festival in Ireland. Even though there's evidence supporting it goes much further back than that, it's filled with folklore, ritual, reverence, festivity, not devil worshipping. So we're going to discuss more about Christianity and Halloween in another video. Let's just go ahead and put a pin in that for now. Where the evil comes into play and has been misunderstood, I believe, has more to do with not understanding different spirit realms and then just having totally different belief systems trying to be the higher up and say, well, I'm right and you're wrong. So I'm going to be covering a bit more about the astral realm, most associated with Samhain, in another video. But in short, the ancient Celts did believe that not only is this a night to connect with our ancestors, but a night when other spirits could also make contact. This means high vibrational and lower vibrational spirits. Part of the rituals for Samhain were to treat this night with care because they understood there could be spirits and entities that create problems, mostly targeting their crops and their livestock. They weren't worshiping demons or connecting with evil spirits, but they also weren't naive to the realms of the spiritual dimensions. Traditionally, Samhain is associated with the Celtic New Year, but also it's associated with the last harvest of the year. So this Samhain has a lot of connection to agriculture, or the last harvest of the year. And even in our secular modern Halloween, most people are out getting the farmers are out working the fields, getting their last crops pulled. Everybody's going to the pumpkin patches, prepping food for the winter. We're still doing those things even now in 2022. So it's also associated with the turning of the season as the northern hemisphere enters into the colder weather of winter coming. And it's a time when in ancient times, and honestly not even that long ago, many people didn't survive winter. So not only do we go into this darker part of the year, but there's this whole symbology around life and death with Samhain. This night was to celebrate and have gratitude for all the blessings of the year and the harvest. It was a time to talk about what opportunities did you have, what work did you accomplish, what did you do with your time on earth, with your life, with your family, with your land, your crops, your livestock. What did you accomplish? What blessings do you have to be thankful for? And it was also a time to honor the ancestors and celebrate all the new life that came into the world too. It's very beautiful. There's I don't know, just the whole idea of connecting to ourselves through our ancestors and then connecting to the new life that came into the family and into the community that year. I just think it's very beautiful. It's a time to prepare for winter, prepare the home, prepare land, prepare your family, prepare your livestock, all for the winter. This is a time when the cattle were brought back in from the pasture. And oftentimes they're slaughtering those animals because they're prepping to have food to get them through the winter. So they would leave just enough animals for mating and for the next spring. It's a time that represents having courage to get through winter and surrendering to the cycles of life and of the earth. Samhain has a lot to do with agriculture and changing weather, but it also has so much to do with the spirit world, and that's what most people are interested in when it comes to Halloween and talking about it. It's the spirit world. So it's a very sacred night of the year when the veil between the worlds, between dimensions, thins, and the living and the dead, the physical world and the spiritual world intermingle. The living can make contact with the non-incarnate. We're also going to be discussing more in depth the connection to Samhain and the ancestor realm in a separate video in this series. In short, Halloween dates back eons ago, thousands of years ago. In the modern day, we each have our own way of celebrating it. Some do harvest festivals, they go to pumpkin patches, light bonfires. These are all part of these ancient traditions that are related to Samhain. So we can debate that this is a secular holiday that's made up, but the things that we do are still very connected to our ancestors' roots. Some people like to dress up. They like to go party. They take their kids to go trick or treat. People decorate their homes. I love it. Watch scary movies. They visit cemeteries. They go on haunted tours of old buildings. Of course, there's the whole pumpkin spice life too. So with Samhain being rooted in the beliefs of our ancestors across the globe, it's a day that's meant to be sacred and celebrated, revered. I believe that we can all find our way of interpreting this day and creating traditions that lift each of our beliefs. In this day and age, I think it's important to have traditions. This is what I was talking about earlier. Traditions are they're important, and whether you keep them, trying to fashion them to ancient practices, or putting your own spin on the tradition, just have a tradition. Traditions and rituals keep us connected, and they keep us together, and they help us to understand who we are, where we come from. They help us belong and have things to look forward to. They give us special memories and stories about our lives. One of the reasons I love trick-or-treating is based not only on my own memories of doing it as a kid. Where I grew up, Halloween was a big deal. But I adore seeing families in my neighborhood out having fun together, even if we don't all know one another. I love to sit outside and greet the kiddos when they come up to my door and just see everybody walking around having a nice time together. I love the costumes. It brings out our imaginations and activates our creative minds. We can play through dressing up, and we can access our own inner child too. We tap into archetypes, stories, and emotions by dressing up, and all of this is great for self-mastery and emotional development, even if we don't understand all the benefits of dressing up, or even all the benefits of having traditions. Again, it's just dressing up makes memories. I'm big on creating memories. Our lives are meant to be lived, to have stories, to bond with others, and holidays offer us an opportunity to do that, to bring us together. Halloween is the festival of the dead, and to some that sounds really scary, but it doesn't have to be. Death is taboo. Not many of us want to think about death. We don't want to talk about death. Grief is so hard to process. None of us get out alive though. Halloween offers us an opportunity to face our fears, to be grateful for our lives, to talk about death, and again, this all builds emotional maturity, emotional strength. It's important to understand history and the beliefs and language of ancient times, but it's equally important to have our own traditions. I know I keep harping on that, but Halloween has changed in so many ways since ancient times, but there's so many concepts and stories, beliefs and rituals that still take place in honor of ancient ways. We need to know where we come from, to know the soil, our roots, that's our ancestors, and then be able to bloom from there. Samhain is one of the ways that we can connect more to history, to our ancestors, the changing seasons, and the greater cycles of life and one another. In the rest of the series, we're going to be covering a lot of other things associated with Halloween, and by no means do you need to be of any particular faith to enjoy this time of year or to enjoy this series. I encourage you, as always, to do your own research and then also to celebrate in a way that resonates for you and is practical for you. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.